So welcome to the Teaching and Learning seminar, Teaching Futures, on open educational resources and how we can use them within our teaching in the Faculty of Business, Economics and Law. Just for anybody else who might be viewing this video time shifted a bit later on, this was a session recorded for the Trobe University staff members, but we'll be making the video openly available afterwards. There'll be some accompanying resources. I assume that some people have probably already seen one of my presentations on open educational resources previous to today, but some of those resources are also available on the net, particularly my presentation on open educational resources in a blended learning environment. Open educational resources, for the intents and purposes of this session, really refer to resources that can be that are freely available and publicly available on the internet, and also available to be modified and adapted by other people. So we're looking mainly at content that is licensed through the Creative Commons scheme, and I'll take you through a little bit of information on where you can go to find information about that as well. And I'll provide a few examples of what you might potentially want to do and how to incorporate OER into teaching and learning activities. Both the Horizon report and the Radical Learning project reports identified OER as being significant and growing trends in the higher education sector in recent years. I think the Horizon report in particular has reported on OER as being present and an active and growing movement over a number of years in its reports, not just in the 2013 report. So it has been around for a while. The movement itself has been around for over a decade now, and there have been official definitions and conferences worldwide and a range of activity around that. In Australia, we seem to be a bit further behind the ball in terms of the activity in OER and participation. And we're hoping to address that by, giving people an introduction, easy ways to get involved themselves. The Radical Learning project in particular, which I'm hoping that most people at La Trobe have read and been through, it pointed to a range of educational technologies and highlighted open educational resources as just one of those emerging educational technologies that the university wants to increasingly get involved with. And it also pointed generally to an increase in access to open content through the educational sector generally around the world. So in terms of open courses, for example, La Trobe has content available on iTunes U. So what can OER do for us? Well, as a development in educational technology, it gives us as educators more control over the content that we use in educational settings. With truly open content, we can adapt, simplify, change examples, insert our own examples, and modify the educational content that we are accessing, which may be videos, it may be text, maybe online articles, diagrams, photos, and you can adapt these and change these in ways that you cannot do with proprietary textbooks in particular. It's great for just-in-time teaching. So if there's a call for your course to respond to something that is occurring in the world at the time that you are teaching within that semester, you can do things like incorporate content, and I'll show you how you can do this. You can incorporate content from the Conversation website, for example, which licenses all of its content through the Creative Commons scheme. And OER can also allow you to adjust your materials, adjust international materials for relevance in the Australian context, which is particularly important in a school such as ours, which has, or faculty such as ours, which has a law school incorporated. Obviously, law is a subject that is very territory specific in the way that it operates, but there may be content and, for example, case studies that might be relevant and have come through from other countries that can be tweaked and adapted and then apply in particular ways and be used as relevant case studies in an Australian educational context. And you can also adapt. You might find materials out there that they give fantastic examples, but perhaps go into a bit too much detail for the cohort of students that you're dealing with at the time. So you might want to find materials that you can adapt and adjust the level. So you can insert additional details that you may need your students to focus on, or you can remove details that are too complex for students at a particular level, particularly at lower levels. And you can also provide additional study tools. So you can use OER as a way to fill in gaps in the curriculum that haven't necessarily been addressed directly by the textbook. So supplementary materials to fill gaps in the curriculum that are not provided within your textbook, but also finding materials that you might need to support particular students or even particular cohorts. So, you know, as is the case in university education, you're often running the same subject over consequential semesters, and you will have different groups of students in each one, and you may need to respond to different needs. So as with other technologies in teaching, what you need to focus on is not in retrofitting your subjects or the activities to suit the technology, but rather considering how the technology can help you to improve your teaching practices within the subjects that you're already teaching. So as with all other pedagogical designs, start with the design of your learning activity. Having clear learning outcomes and objectives will help you to assess the relevance of any open educational resources you might want to use. So by all means, go out and see what's available out there in the world that's relevant to your subject. But before you start to adopt it, then consider exactly how it fits in. And it can be a bit of a dance between working out what fits into your curriculum and how you can adapt materials to fit your curriculum, but also how your curriculum can adapt to fit the materials. There's a little bit of that. Because of that flexibility and the adaptability of the materials themselves, you have an added layer of editing sort of structure in terms of your pedagogical approach. So I'll just take you through a few examples. I'm just going to switch to screen share. So one of the places, there are a number of open educational resources repositories around, OER repositories, and I can send you all a link to, this is Wiki Educator. And so this one lists a number of different OER repositories that you can go and have a look through and see what options are available. It gives a great description here of what's available in there, and because it's a wiki site, you'll find the community will go in from time to time to edit and update. Because the unfortunate thing with repositories is that they can vary in their stability. Some of them have been funded through large funding grants overseas, but particularly during the global financial crisis of recent years, the funding did dry out for some people, for some organisations, and you'll find that some aspects actually went offline during that time. So that can be one of the drawbacks of using OER. So one that in particular that I will point you towards is the Merlot repository. Merlot is one of the probably more well-resourced repositories out of everything that's available. As you can see, things are broken down according to discipline area down here. And what I did a few days ago was I just went in preparation for this and thought we'll just go and have a look at do a particular search word. So I searched for accounting basics, and what I discovered was this resource here, Accounting Basics, on the Cribingo website, which is actually a quiz or test type material available in PDF format, which is a bit difficult in that it's quite difficult to edit PDF, but there are ways if you know what you're doing. But what I wanted to show you in particular was just the layout of the Merlot information here. They'll provide you dates of when it's added, when it's been modified, but importantly down the bottom it will show you what the Creative Commons license conditions are applied to that. So when you click on that link down there, it will take you to the Creative Commons website and tell you what you can and can't do with that material. So this is a Creative Commons attribution non-commercial license. You'll find that every Creative Commons license requires attribution, which means that you just have to simply give acknowledgement to the creator of the content. So in this case, we can go in and have a look. So go to the material and it will take us here, and you can, if perhaps you wanted to incorporate some extra quiz material on accounting basics, then you can copy and paste this information, or you can download and upload this material directly into your LMS, because the Creative Commons license will allow you to do that. So it's not that you have to put a link in and send students externally. The advantage of the Creative Commons license is that it does allow you to do that. Now, another resource that is incredibly useful is the Creative Commons Australia website, which I'll take you to here. And this can give you a range of information, including information about the licenses themselves. Shows you what these symbols mean, so you become familiar with these symbols. So attribution, so if you get a Creative Commons attribution license work, it means that you can use it, you can adapt it, you can put it into material that you put up for sale for profit, and you can share it. You don't have to share it as well. And as you add these extra conditions on, non-commercial means that you can't include it in commercial activities, and no derivatives means you can't make any changes to that work. And share alike means that if you incorporate share alike licensed content in your material, then you need to share that back to the community as well, and apply a share alike license to the material that you've created using that. So it's important to follow those rules and guidelines in order to keep in line with the rest of the community. The other thing that the Creative Commons Australia website provides is, and I'll just find it here, is some information on how to go about finding, or how to attribute, Creative Commons licensed materials. So there's information here for how to do that. But it also provides a list of Creative Commons search. Here we go. So there's a few options out there for finding Creative Commons material. So you can use this as a search engine itself. And you can see here that it will provide you, so these are particular search engines that you can use also to find Creative Commons materials. What I might do is just take you through the process for searching for Creative Commons content on Google. So here we go, we're going to go to the Google homepage here. And this can be done easily through the Google Advanced Search function. So we're just going to have a look again for accounting basics. Here we go. So we click on there. When this screen comes up, go to this little gear off to the side. Click on Advanced Search Settings. Scroll down to the bottom here, and the usage rights is what you want to look for. So you want to filter for content that you can share, use or modify. You can, even if you want to put it up commercially, you can look for that sort of thing as well, but in our context we won't necessarily. And it will come up with a whole range of content. You will often find that Wikipedia and other resources that are on Wikicommons will be the #1 hits out of this sort of Google search, obviously because Wikipedia is one of the most visited websites in the world. So that information, so anything you find in Wikipedia, will generally be edited through the Wikipedia community, but also if you find it's factually inaccurate, you can edit that yourself. You can post it back into Wikipedia if you find that your editing rights are sufficient, or you can incorporate that. Boundless.com is another source for information, but that's an interesting case in itself, which I won't necessarily go into right now. So there's a few examples there. Yes, the other one I wanted to have a look at. So, for example, you might want to incorporate, I was talking before about incorporating current affairs and information in current affairs. Most people will be familiar with the website The Conversation, which is contributed to by academics around Australia. It's actually gone live in the UK now as well, so you'll find British content is loaded there too. And so I thought for our purposes today, we might go and have a look and see what's in the business and economy section. And say, for example, you're looking at how you might have a case study or be looking for a case study on what industries within Australia are are doing to adapt to different climate change, how they're changing their business models and things. So, for example, you might find this article to be quite useful. I read through the whole thing, and what I found was down the bottom here, they sort of diverged from the main topic and started talking about other industries that actually contribute more to climate change, such as cattle industries. But you might find that you could use everything else in here about what wine producers are doing, how the wine industry works, and use this as a case study in your teaching, for example. And what you'll find is when you scroll right down to the very bottom of the page, it will show that it has a copyright license, but also there are guidelines here on republishing the content from the conversation website. So you'll find within the website here that their content is licensed by under Creative Commons. Here you go. They don't charge for access, and they just need to. So if you want to use their content, you can just credit back to the conversation website. So you can copy that entire article, excluding what you don't want to include, so long as you credit the authors and the people who were interviewed as well as contributors to the article. You'll find that the photo itself you'll have to double check on whether the photo can be used, and then you can incorporate that. You can upload it in its entirety to your LMS. Or you can provide a link to students, or you can adapt it yourself, put in an extra few paragraphs, set a learning task around that. There are other examples on here that I thought might potentially be useful in the context of, it depends what it is that you're teaching. We can have a chat about this in just a moment. So there's a whole range of articles about, economies and businesses around Australia and around the world. That might provide a whole range of fodder for using case studies, incorporating that into your teaching. I've actually put together a little a presentation that's available on the web, which is a step-by-step guide on how to find Creative Commons images using Google search. It takes you step-by-step through how you can go and choose advanced search settings for image types. Just what I showed you before, what the results might be, what you do when you find a photo that you like. The best thing to do is to go back to the original website and just double check that it's got the image that you're looking for is still available there, because Google, it's important to note that Google will actually scan and search the internet quite regularly, and what you see through Google search is a cache. So it's a copy of what the internet was, at some time in the recent past. So sometimes images do get taken down. So it's important to go back to the original website, find the photo that you're looking for, and check for this Creative Commons license. And say, good, that's just Creative Commons, probably just straight attribution license. I can use that image, and off you go. So there's a simple one that you can use there. And I myself, because the content that was in this presentation required the use of a Creative Commons license, I've applied a Creative Commons license to that presentation itself.